Well, Dratnos, as somebody who's been no-lifing the Mage Tower challenge, how is your feat of strength coming along for doing all 36 specializations?
Dude, we've literally both been so busy.
All right. So for those who haven't been playing or have been living under the rock, the Mage Tower is live along with Legion Time Walking in World of Warcraft this week and next week. So you have about a week and a half left where Legion Time Walking and the Mage Tower are going to be active. So if you want to engulf yourself with some of that content, make sure to hop on the game and participate in that today. Also, for Mage Tower class guides, Wowhead has class guides on every single specialization. If you are also going to be trying to participate in some of these, there's a lot of VODs from other people as well. I'm sure there are YouTube guides if you're looking for some of those things. Overall, though, Wowhead has very comprehensive and well-written guides that go pretty in-depth with what you're going to be looking for. So, why has the Mage Tower been controversial this week?
Yeah, I think the difficulty level caught people off guard because it is quite hard. A lot of the specs are quite hard, especially I think the tanks and the healers, and maybe Archmage Xylem, the one that like Havoc Demon Hunters, Sub Rogues, Arms Warriors do, and Survival Hunters.
Is that a spec?
I think so.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is like. So I think for a lot of people, they kind of remember the Mage Tower how it was at the end of Legion. So whenever the Mage Tower was initially released during Legion, it was a lot harder than this, actually. What the current Mage Tower that we have, there was something like 20 people who killed the Protection Paladin one in the first full reset. Like 20 players that were able to complete it. And it was stuff like that where it was like almost impossibly hard. Now, Mage Tower definitely a little bit easier than that, but harder than it was at the end of Legion whenever you could just completely face roll it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Prop Pally one was an outlier back then.
It was an outlier back then. It was definitely an outlier back then.
They weren't all that bad.
No, but most of them were very difficult. Also, they hadn't been tested or done yet. So I guess there's something to say about that, but a lot of them definitely were really difficult on release. And I think the biggest point of contention with players is like casual / normal players who want to do the content and who feel like it's like it's not able to be done by them, or it's too hard, or it's going to take too much time out of their day to be able to complete it, in addition to it only being on a 2-week rotation. Whereas for the more hardcore and more passionate player base, they want it to be challenging and they want like difficult solo player content. And that's what I think the current Mage Tower provides, is like that difficult solo player content that you can get.
Yeah, content in World of Warcraft that isn't based on having a certain amount of gear or doing a certain amount of grind before it's achievable, I think is something that is cool. I like the idea of bringing that into the game. Unfortunately, Mage Tower doesn't fully accomplish that because you are able to use old items that are like triple socketed or some weird trinkets, and they've been fixing a lot of these to be less good, but potions, right? Random healing potions from random expansions are better, and like random damage potions and all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of weird because it doesn't fully achieve that idea of being this content that is not based on the preparation or the optimizing your gear, right? It's just kind of, instead of optimizing your gear in normal ways, you're doing it in weird ways.
Yeah, abusing scaling. I mean, there's always scaling issues. I think that with every beta that we've seen for a new expansion, or with every, like, there's always time walking sets that are super optimized in weird ways because of trinkets scaling or whatever. And I think that for me, I think is one of the biggest downsides, like the biggest disappointments with the whole entire thing, is that there are ways to cheese it. Because I think that for you and I, ideally, it is like a set difficulty where the scaling of the gear doesn't really matter. Honestly, I think that templating probably would be the best bet for something like the Mage Tower, just to make sure that the developers could put everybody at least close to an even footing and have the difficulty around where they want it. But as it currently stands, the massive swings in difficulty relative to whether or not you have Titanic Ocular Gland or just random old world trinkets and stuff like that, that's not fair and that's not very fun. And I think that personally, that kind of minimizes the achievement in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have done it without using those kinds of things, right? Like, and that challenge is real, and
Yeah.
the achievement is awesome to do it that way. Very hard in some cases. I would love to see a system in the game that was challenges based on pure like skill and practice and gameplay rather than those other factors. I would love to see something like that available year round rather than for 1 week every 4 months. I would love to see challenges like that are balanced to be, the outliers are not as far apart as the difference between some of the tank challenges and say some of the imp mother challenges that exist right now, right? Where it's like it's
Yeah.
night and day how forgiving those challenges are relative to each other. So I mean, I like the idea of a mage tower, except if they had done it in like 4 different ways than how they actually did it.
Yeah, and so there's a blue post that Blizzard put. There's a lot of people giving different feedback on the Mage Tower, from hardcore players to more casual players. But Blizzard made this blue post a couple days ago. I think it was a day ago, saying, "Hello everyone, thank you so much for your ongoing feedback about the Mage Tower. We're currently evaluating data regarding the Mage Tower success rates, and we've identified that some of the challenges for certain specs are a little bit more difficult than intended. We will return once we have more information to provide on what challenges we have planned to bring those specializations in line with the rest." Okay, so so before we talk about what's actually getting nerfed, because we have a couple of nerfs to discuss, I'm sure there's going to be a couple more coming whenever they have a little bit more data. But before that, I guess philosophically, I think we should talk about like whether or not the Mage Tower should be nerfed. I think for me, it's one of those things that hardcore players want a challenge, casual players want content that they feel like they can do. Is there an equilibrium that can be reached for both parties where the hardcore players feel like there is a challenge, where the casual players that is content that they can do and still can get the rewards out of?
Yeah, I think the ship has probably sailed on Mage Tower accomplishing all that it could have at this point.
Okay.
So I think it makes sense to just deliver the nerfs to the ones that are much harder than some of the other ones, and let people earn their appearances equally across the different specs. In future, though, I would definitely love to see content that was hard enough, single player content that was difficult enough to be a challenge for hardcore players, to the point where like you would need to spend hours progressing on single player content as a hardcore player and potentially not be able to do it as somebody that wasn't as familiar with the spec or something like that. I think that would be a great place to end up, but I think it should come in a more measured way where, like, particularly if there's mounts and transmogs and stuff like that, I think maybe having like multiple difficulties would be a good way to do this, and have like a extreme hard mode that is just for the people that enjoy overcoming that challenge. And you don't put the really cool new tier set or whatever behind that, because that's gonna cause people to to have this deluge of wanting to get it nerfed to the point where it's doable for them.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't want it nerfed into the ground. They want it nerfed to the point where they are
Everybody
barely
wants it
able
to be
to.
exactly as hard as they could get it done fairly easily, and no easier than that, right? If it's any easier than that, it's bad,
Yeah.
right? But they want just them to be able to go and grab the mount and like wherever mount,
Yeah.
or I guess the transmog, right? And then nothing nothing easier than that.
I do think the mark is kind of missed for the Mage Tower, but I do think in the future that would definitely be something that would be fairly well received from the community, because like things like the Mage Tower on release, I remember doing five. Do you remember doing 5 masks whenever like really early on, whenever
Yeah.
you didn't have that many that much corruption resistance? Stuff like that was really cool, and achievements like that always feel really good whenever you are able to accomplish them before other players realistically are, because of just playing your ass off and just being a good player. And that stuff is something that should be celebrated and should be rewarded. And there definitely should be some level of prestige for doing it. I think that the Mage Tower isn't necessarily going to be that, at least now, but I think that this could be a pretty good learning tool in the future for Blizzard.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think that there's a lot of potential there for sure, and I've had a tremendous amount of fun in the mage towers that I've done so far, and they've been pretty fantastic. But uh, I mean, there are other implementation issues that you see this time around as well, right? Like going in, not having your covenant ability function, not having much of your class kit
Your
function.
legendaries, yeah.
Yeah, it's like half the stuff is turned off, but some trinket from Wailing Caverns is enabled and is this, and it's like,
Is
okay,
it actually? Is there a
is it
trigger
really
from
the right
Wailing?
place to land here? No, I made up the Wailing Caverns thing. I'm sure there's no trinket from Wailing Caverns in Spiss, but from some equally dumb place, right?
Yeah, people wearing just like 4 sockets on their gear
Yeah, the
and
four
stuff.
socket. It's like, I mean, if the challenge is it's possible to itemize for, at least make it be itemized for it normally. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that.
yeah,
I think that the Mage Tower is good though. Like I do like
yeah,
that. I think the positives of the Mage Tower are very strong. So like a lot of them, they are catered to your specialization, and like kicks are adjusted, CC's adjusted, like all of these things are adjusted to where it's supposed to be for your specialization, even though the challenges are supposed to be kind of generic. It's adjusted in a way that your class can deal with. Like for Moonkins, like the hand doesn't cast except for or it doesn't even spawn except for every like 30 seconds because it would be absurd. Or like the cast time is super long. Cast time's 12 seconds or something because it'd be super stupid with Moonkin's really long kick. It doesn't really matter. But like I think it's cool how they are adapting to the specializations. And a lot of the times you have to use like your full kit to be able to achieve what you want to achieve in the Mage Tower. And like you have to utilize your CC, and you have to utilize like a lot of the stops and the coordination that is required for the Mage Tower. And I think that those are the positive things. And I do think that there is something that can be learned. So let's talk about the nerfs. So currently, as we have right now, as of 3 minutes ago, we have a Blood Death Knight Mage Tower nerf and a Guardian Druid Mage Tower nerf. I don't think that I'm super surprised to see that these are the first two that got slapped down, specifically, like especially Guardian Druid. So what these nerfs are the Nether Horrors, which are the little arcane ads that run at you. They can no longer cast or channel Nether Storm while moving in the Blood Death Knight Challenge Mage Tower. That's massive. They can no longer cast or channel while moving. For Guardian Druid, they can no longer cast Nether Storm while moving, but they can still channel the ability while moving.
yeah. I mean, these aren't the size of nerfs that I was expecting to come out. And in fact, if you look at the fixes that they've made to various trinkets and stuff since they first made the post, every Mage Tower challenge, including these two, is harder than when they made that post. If you were using those items that have been nerfed, so I'm interested to see if this is the level of tweaking they're looking to do with it. I actually think it would be good to do these sort of smaller nerfs to bring things, maybe even if they need a couple of nerfs of small nerfs over time to bring them to where they'll still be really prestigious and difficult, but make sure that they aren't way out of line with the other ones. It's tough for me to evaluate specifically how much these will make the challenge better, though. I would guess that this maybe takes, I don't know, 2 or 3 pulls off of your 80 pull Blood Death Knight experience or whatever.
Is it that long? Is it that hard for Blood DK?
It depends. I mean, if it took you 80, which it does for some people, I think that one.
Oh man, that one must be. Oh my god, that's a demon. But yeah, no. So I do think overall Mage Tower is good. I think implementation definitely can be something that is learned to improve on. I think overall though, creating a challenge that is difficult and rewarding for your most passionate and hardcore player base, while also feeling like it is something that can be achievable by the most casual players, is something that Blizzard should be looking to do. And I think that dude, it's been causing so much tension between all of the players. I feel like lately people just calling names.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's inflammatory posts on all sides whenever there's anything like this coming out, and there are some mind-bogglingly dumb takes of all variety that you can find.
Are there some good Reddit posts? I haven't checked Reddit in a bit.
Oh yeah, there's some nice ones.
Oh no! All right, well, I think that's going to be it for us today. Again, if you're looking to do the Mage Tower, Wowhead's got some great guides. A lot of people tested.
Read through the guide, and you'll often find some really good tips for how to use your abilities. I think another good one is find a VOD of somebody doing it and watch how they handle whatever is wiping you, and you'll often find a lot of extra success from that.
Yep. Beyond that, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Tell us in the comment section below, what was your favorite Mage Tower? Dratnos, what was your favorite so far?
The Havoc one, Havoc Demon Hunter, is a blast. It felt so good. You're finishing right as the puddle's getting to you at the end. Really mythic raid boss feeling victory.
And mine was Guardian Druid when I one-shot it. It's just so easy whenever you're this smart,
Didn't ask.
talented, handsome.
Liar.
Goodbye.